Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your Evelyn Shorty, and I say 5 minutes. This might be shorter. We'll see how it goes, because in the grand scheme of things, I find it considerably easier to review comic books that I really like. In fact, if I love them, it's fantastic, but it's going to take me a bit longer. If I like them, if I can find things about them to talk about that are good, interesting, and cool, I can sometimes even gloss over the fact that the main part of the comic book doesn't really move me. I like looking at things in a positive light. I love comic books. I want to tell you that comic books are awesome. So now I'm going to review Storm, issue 1, which is, I think, now the third Marvel solo series I've reviewed this week, or at least solo story I've reviewed this week, and it's genuinely hard to like this one. I'm going to start by telling you the one thing about it which I vaguely enjoyed, which is a conversation about physical dress and how people present themselves to the world, because I've spoken recently, a while back now, about the fact that I really quite like the fact that the new Marvel X-Men characters are fully committed to just wearing whatever the hell they want. They no longer have to be, like, feared of humans. They are just like, no, I want to dress like this. I am spectacular, and I'm going to wear it on my sleeve. And I like that. It's been fun to see it. It's been fun to have the conversations about it. And there's a bit of a thing in here, because it goes back to a period where Storm is going a little bit more for the street with the mohawk and the leathers, and people seem to be kind of weirded out by it. Now, this begins and ends everything I liked about this comic book. Let's start with the things I dislike now. First off, it is far too wordy. And I don't mean this to be like, it makes the story slow, like in a certain way. I don't mind a slow burn story. I love Simon Spurrier. He can take his sweet time, because he's a fantastic writer. And he manages to get stuff across really effectively. And quite often when he does go full verbosity, it's because the character he's using to narrate things would talk that way. Here we have mostly Storm going through prolonged periods of introspection which don't seem to go anywhere. We don't really get any payoff. We don't get any sense that she's doing anything for a good reason. It just needs to be a chance for her to go, oh, but maybe this, but what about that? Maybe this instead. And mostly just going over the same things. I'm saying, like, oh yeah, she's drifting between different points. She really isn't. For the most part, she's going over the same 2-3 beats, just repeatedly and over again, and none of it is going anywhere. None of it is helping the story, and it's written in a style which reminds me of the kind of X-Men comics I used to really not like when I was a younger guy. The kind of X-Men comics that stopped me reading X-Men, when it was an expectation you had to read like 27 different things a month to keep up with the story, and everything was that kind of really over-the-top vaudevillian-esque stuff, which I can kind of get behind a little bit now, because it's usually much more tightly written. But at this point, it reminds me of I think one of the last X-Men comic books I ever read. I think it was an X-Men vs. Death's Head special, where there's a point where Wolverine is leaping through the air in a combat, legs tucked up under his bum, claws out ready to go, and enough speech bubbles on the page, on the panel, to have 5 completely separate sentences. No way that happens. And yes, I get we're talking about comic books here, where script and artwork is a difficult thing to manage, because we have still moments in time and dialogue which takes time to read. I do totally get that. But there are better people out there to do that. J.H. Williams III recently has done some absolutely immaculate things by just breaking panels down to show motion between them. Kieran Gillen's work on, I want to say not just Phonogram, but Peter Cannon Thunderbolt, like, does similar kind of things, like, engages with the medium in ways which make it spectacular. It shows that we can take these still moments in time and give them a sense of motion without having to resort to motion lines. But this doesn't manage it. There's a bit with a fight scene where somebody, I think Mystique kicks somebody, and in that moment where she's got a leg up, in quite a cool little movement actually, we have a comment about the kick, a reply, and then a reply to that. It feels like that's just a lot going on for that brief moment in time. But while we're talking about how the comic book looks, it doesn't look great. I wish I could tell you that, like, at least it's saved by some glorious artwork. It isn't. There's some reasonably nice moments in combat, spoiled by the dialogue, but it's also really bad at other times. There seems to be major problems with drawing shoulders. Quite often just physicality of the characters looks off. Faces never seem to be 100% correctly proportioned for the direction they're facing. The size of the eyes on the faces is massively inconsistent. Some of these things could go down to visual aesthetic choices, and I'd be like, okay, cool, it's a stylistic thing you're doing there. But the only thing consistently done is that it's not good. There is no overarching idea that they're messing with our perception of these characters to get a point across. Just looks like they've not been drawn very well, and it's bad. It bugged me. I have not enjoyed this one, and I've just hit the 5-minute mark, so I am good to end it there before I carry on telling you that this is a bad book. I'm going to go and read something else now, so hopefully I can end the week on a slightly higher note. We'll see how that one goes, though. Until I see you again, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!